Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of AMC Versus, the show where we take a topic, we discuss the pros and the cons, and then ultimately we come to a conclusion. But really, the real power of the show lies with you guys, because at the end of it all, you need to vote and declare who is the winner of that particular battle. My name is John Campia. I am the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News. Thanks for joining us today. And I'm going to introduce, first of all, the panel who's with me today. First, sitting to my left, AMC's own Miss Miri Jedikin. Miri, thanks for being here.
Hello. How are you? I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
My first Versus.
Oh, this is your first Versus.
Yes.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. Sitting to my immediate right, he's, of course, writer-director Mr. John Schnepp.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to be here.
And beside Schnepp, of course, is production manager for AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen.
Hey guys, I like this new setup we got. This is our second week here.
Yeah, I very much like it. You know, I went to talk to Dave and the folks here at the stream, so we need something different. They said, how about this? I'm like, perfect. This is great. I like the setup. Hey, folks, I'm going to let you know, before we get into what the topic is today, last week, the AMC Versus topic was, what was the best animated film to be playing in theaters so far this year? And the two combatants were Frozen versus the Lego Movie, and although it was close for a while, the Lego Movie pulled away. So the Lego Movie ultimately won. You guys voted it as the winner. It took 67% of the vote as compared to 33% of the vote for Frozen. So Lego is officially the winner of last week's Versus. I got a feeling, guys, today's is going to be a little bit closer. As we are getting ready, of course, for the new X-Men Days of Future Past film, which is opening shortly here in AMC theaters everywhere, it brings up a very interesting question. What was the best Ian McKellen character? Who is the best Ian McKellen character at any rate? Gandalf from Lord of the Rings / The Hobbit, or Magneto from the X-Men films? So here's this going. We're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons of both sides of the issue. We're going to debate a little bit. But then at the end of the show, we are going to throw it over to you guys to make the final determination, the final verdict, if you will, by voting. And if you look in the description of this video, right near the top of the description, you'll find the link that if you click on it, it'll take you to where you can vote. Gandalf or Magneto? So Dennis, we are going to start with you. Let's start with Gandalf. If you had to make an argument about why Gandalf is the best Ian McKellen character out of the two, what would you lead with?
Well, I read an interview with Ian McKellen, and he was asked whether Gandalf versus Magneto, if they got in a fight, who would win? And he said, Gandalf, no doubt about it. So there you have that. He's a much more powerful character. He's an older character. He's a wiser character. He's a good guy, and he's kind of the guy. He's not the main guy in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, but he is the guy who brings everyone together. And he's kind of like this kooky grandpa, you know, that like comes around, you know, and just hangs out. You know, I really like Gandalf the Grey. He smokes his little like weed or whatever.
Do you remember we actually talked to Ian McKellen at Comic-Con one time, and he talked about that, how about there's really two Gandalfs. There's Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White. And McKellen told us, I much prefer Gandalf the Grey.
He's more fun-loving.
He's more human, right?
So,
I mean, he seems like more of a, less wizardy, more human-y.
He's the cranky dude next door with a lot of funny personality types.
Hey, you want to get high? All right, Grandpa, break out the weird funny pipe.
Gandalf, right on.
I'll blow some weirdos. It'll be awesome.
And it looks like he just came back from a Grateful Dead concert, too, so that never hurts. I'm sorry, anyway, Des, you were saying.
He's just a warm character, you know, he cares about, you know, all the other guys in where he's at, so I don't know. I like that warmth of him.
Schnepp, what about you? What would you say would be some of the arguments in favor of, say, Gandalf being his best character out of the two?
I think an argument for or pro Gandalf is he is the glue that holds all of the entire, now it's like 6 films together. Without him, you would just have a bunch of hobbits, like, you know, eating bread in the Shire. The giant eye would have taken over everything. I mean, it's sort of like he brings everybody together. He leads them on their journey. He saves them when they're at their direst moments. And even though, I mean, I would agree with McKellen. I love Gandalf the Grey because he was kind of like that grandpa, the cool grandpa that everybody wants. Like, I can get high with him. I can tell him anything I'm going through, and he's always got the right answer. He gives me weird riddles that I have to figure out myself. Then he shows up right when I'm about to die. That doesn't usually happen in real life. But yeah, he's a really fun character, and what a great role to play. I'm sure Ian was like, man, I hit the jackpot. Not only am I Gandalf, I'm also Magneto. So the pros for Gandalf is definitely like, it's a great character, and he's the glue of the entire 6 films.
Have you guys seen that T-shirt, that picture of Ian McKellen in that T-shirt? Look it up online. It's Ian McKellen wearing this red T-shirt that says, I'm Gandalf and Magneto, deal with it.
Yeah.
I did see that T-shirt.
Isn't that a
yeah,
great
it's the best thing. And he's the only person who can wear that.
Nobody else in the world can
I
wear
think
that
Harrison
shirt.
Ford has one of those T-shirts too, where he's
Really?
I'm
Well, he
Han
should.
Solo and Indiana Jones, and then it's something else way derogatory. I think there's a picture of him wearing that, or somebody photoshopped it. I don't know.
Probably Photoshop, but if it's real, it'd be really cool. Okay, Mira, let's go over to you. You had to make an argument for why Gandalf is the better out of the two characters. How would you do it?
Well, he fought the Balog, so I mean, I know
Right.
Magneto's pretty bad ASS, but he did that. And also, I think Gandalf, to your point, he's a wizard and he's otherworldly in a way that a mutant is not. He's really not of this earth, and he has all these cool powers. Like, he can whisper into the ear of a dragonfly and turn it into like a magical owl. I mean, could Magneto do that? I don't think so. I mean, he has amazing powers, but it's just kind of different. And I think also, if you kind of take the 5,000-foot view and look down at these two characters, in terms of just popular culture and iconography, I think Gandalf just has more reach. I think more people feel connected to him. I think he has a broader audience reach. I think Magneto is amazing, and I love him, but I also think maybe it's still a slightly more niche audience than someone like Gandalf, who has been a joy to audiences, not just with the films, but with the books. I mean, he's like a real, which is true for Magneto too, but I just feel like in terms of popular culture, if you were to go to the farthest reaches of the earth, more people would know and love Gandalf than Magneto. So
yeah,
there's that.
There's the thing that for me that really goes in Gandalf's favor is the fact that from start to finish, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And not only good, he's noble. There's a real nobility to Gandalf. He's self-sacrificial. He's willing to lay his life down at any time, even though he's the biggest asset for the good guys team. He's funny. He's frightening. He's intimidating. He's powerful.
Yeah.
I will take issue with the idea, though, that he's more powerful than Magneto. Because to me, Magneto can destroy a city.
Yeah, that's true.
I was gonna say the same
But
thing.
Gandalf could do the same thing, right?
I don't know. I never
just
got
chooses
that
not to.
sense. I never got that sense.
But here's the thing: if there was
chooses
even
not
an Ian McKellen versus an Ian McKellen, they were both sitting at a table playing chess, but one's Gandalf and one's Magneto, and they're both drinking, like, say, a Slurpee or something. You know, Magneto popped a whole bunch of iron in there. Gandalf drinks it, and he's like, explodes him, because Magneto's evil, even though he has, like, he borders on, oh, I will be good sometimes. He really thinks he's better than the rest of the human race. He's all, mutants are the true rulers. And since he truly believes that, and if Gandalf was like good, there's like, I don't think you're right. He's like, yeah. In real life, he would have just exploded him.
Maybe it's like a Game of Thrones thing where the good guys actually don't really win, ever.
Yeah, I mean, look, Game of Thrones, there are no real good guys in that. Anyway,
That's a whole other one.
Tangent here. But those are all the things that go for Gandalf. I mean, there's, as a character, as a personality, I think out of the two of them, Gandalf's personality shines the brightest. I mean, because whether it's, him smoking on his pipe and whatever the name of that weed is that he likes, the something weed that he likes, he's got that staff in the hat, and he's real. But I love the fight scene between him and Saruman in Saruman's tower, when they're just having that wizard fight.
Yes.
I mean, that was such a cool fight. And you know what? They didn't need lightning bolts and flashes and whatever. No, it was just a badass fight between these two badass wizards.
Yep.
And I love that. I thought that was really, really great. So those are some of the things that go for me about the positives. Now, if I'm going to talk about the positives, though, about why you might want to go for Magneto, if your personality type is richer with Gandalf, the depth of character way goes to Magneto in my case. Just the way the first X-Men movie starts, right?
Yes.
In a concentration camp.
So heavy.
Being torn away from his family. Magneto saw the evil of humanity from a really young age, and that warped and twisted and molded him. To the point where, like, one of the things I love about Magneto is the most terrifying bad guys are the ones who think they're doing the right thing. And that's the terrifying thing about Magneto, is that in his heart, he believes what he is doing is right. And it's right for protecting his own kind, if you will, the mutants and everything. So that makes him terrifying. Going to what we were talking about before, to me, he's the most powerful of the two. We see it just in the trailer of X-Men Days of Future Past. He rips up a baseball stadium and drops it on a bunch of cops on a highway.
Yeah, that's pretty mean.
I mean, and if you actually want to go to the comics, then the power that Magneto has is unbelievable. So in my top 5 favorite comic book moments of all time, end of Age of Apocalypse, when Apocalypse and Magneto finally fight. It's awesome. But anyway, I mean, the performance, I think, is a wash. It's even. Gandalf as Magneto. Ian McKellen as Gandalf is brilliant.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen as Magneto is brilliant. I had some people trying to tell me on Twitter today, because I put up last night, hey, tomorrow we're filming our next Versus, Gandalf versus Magneto, who's a better character. Some people try to suggest to me, well, you got to go with Gandalf because now Michael Fassbender really owns Magneto now.
What?
Bull! Not a chance! The reason Michael Fassbender is so good as Magneto is because he has taken his cues from Ian McKellen. So I'm sorry. I love Michael Fassbender, and I love what he's doing with Magneto, but Magneto is Ian McKellen, and do not forget that. So anyway, that's my pros for Magneto. Shep, we had to go to you, and you got to make the argument for Magneto being his best character. What do you say?
I'll go right from what you said. Gandalf doesn't have a younger version. Magneto has a kick-ass younger version, Michael Fassbender. Like, if they went back in The Lord of the Rings, I don't think they'd be like, well, yeah, they're not going to top having Michael Fassbender be the young Magneto. I love First Class, and it really bridged the X-Men movies, the first and the second one, and I didn't really like the third one. They had a Gandalf moment that didn't work with Magneto on the bridge. He didn't get to be like, none shall pass. He just kind of floated with a bunch of lesser, lamer mutants. The less we talk about that one, the better, Just Explodo face, Spyco face.
Tore up the bridge. Wait a minute, you tore up the bridge just to use it as a glorified shuttle bus?
Yeah, just to float. You could have floated everybody over.
You just got some manhole covers and had them all stand on them? You had to tear up a bridge?
Yeah, you did that before. You floated on a manhole. Get rid of the bridge. And then failed horribly. But we won't really talk about that as far as, that's not really Ian McKellen's fault or Magneto's fault. As the character Magneto, he brings with him this nobility and honor in being evil. I think because they do show you his origin and such a painful and horrible molding of his character, seeing his parents murdered. Even going back into the Michael Fassbender origin, they're bringing that back with him in the concentration camp. But just that alone, with Ian McKellen, that's enough for him to be able to go off from, because Ian McKellen's openly gay. So the mutant analogy of being outcast and shunned and taken like oh, you're less of a person.
I thought it was because he was English.
Well, that too. But the mutant and gay analogy, it really works for him as a person. He was able to bring that kind of pathos to the character, and you see that throughout all of the X-Men movies. If you're an outsider in any way, like nerds I used to get beat up because I read comic books. Right. Now the world's flipped and I'm right, son. But and
now you're 6'5".
Yeah, well, I grew. I could beat up anybody. So Ian McKellen is really like a hero to a lot of people, even though he plays a villain. Those are the positive things that he's pure evil. He's done a lot of horrible things, especially in those movies. But at the end of it, I think he would kill Gandalf. So it's like if push came to shove, just like he'd kill Charles. Yeah. I don't think Charles would kill Magneto. He would I see the good in him. Magneto would be like, neck snap.
But I get the feeling though Magneto would only ever do that because right from the beginning, one of the things I liked about the first X-Men film is that you still see these two polar opposite characters, Magneto and Charles, right? And that's one of the other great things. Magneto has this great polar opposite. He has this great antithesis character in Charles that he plays off of that actually increases who his character is. Gandalf doesn't really have a Magneto.
Right. He's got a giant blinking eye.
Yeah, he's him, and then there's the big bad guy, but it's not really his ultimate foil. But right in the beginning, it's like you can tell that Charles and Magneto are both guys who believe in each other. They just believe that I've got to convince Charles about the right thing, which is to protect mutants, and the only way you can protect mutants is to go to war against humanity. It's the right thing. Whereas Charles is, I've got to convince Magneto. Like, there's a true affection, and I've always got the sense that the only time Magneto would ever consider killing Charles is if he thought it was for, in his mind, the greater good. Because even in that one scene in X-Men 2, right, when Charles is in that fake, what's the name?
Weird world that.
What's that room called?
The Cerebro.
Cerebro. When he's in the fake Cerebro set up by the military, right? Even when he was left Charles there to die because this is the only way mutants are going to survive is by wiping out humanity. And even when he said goodbye to Charles, you could tell there was with a heavy heart. He put his hand on his shoulder. Goodbye, Charles.
But he did leave him there to die in his own mind.
Because it's what he thought was the greater good. Even when you go into X-Men 3, as much as we don't like to talk about it all that much, when Phoenix killed Charles, like Magneto talks crap on Charles, but when he saw that Charles was about to die, it ripped at him, So there's that beautiful complexity to the character, which is why I don't necessarily agree with you when you say Magneto is just pure evil. I think there's more to him than that.
I didn't say it was pure evil. I did say that he has both sides, but
Right.
I think, you know, he's played as pure evil.
Right.
He's played
Dennis,
as the bad guy.
what arguments would you make for Magneto?
Well, more on what you guys were talking about. He's just a more complex character compared to Gandalf. You know, kind of with Gandalf, what you see is what you get. With Magneto, you don't know what he would do at a certain moment because he does have what he thinks is a good cause, even though he does a lot of evil things. And also his backstory is much more interesting with Charles Xavier. You know, we know it's supposed to be kind of like an allegory for the civil rights movement and Dr. King and Malcolm X. And so, you know, I think that whole backstory makes Magneto a much more interesting character. And, you know, I still think Gandalf would win in a fight, though.
Mary, what about you? For Magneto.
For Magneto, I think, to your point and kind of expanding on it, there is this idea or construct in storytelling of the fallen angel. And I think it's kind of interesting that Magneto was once maybe a good guy, if we have to use those sort of binary terms of
We do.
We do, and we do use them. But I feel like he was a good guy, and to your point of he believes that what he's doing is the right thing. I think that it's really interesting to have somebody who has all those shades, that he was good and he fell from grace in a way, because Xavier is, you know, a good man, and he just wants everybody to get along. He wants the humans to get along with the mutants. He wants everybody to love each other and understand each other and create a more tolerant world, which is what we all want. But I think it's interesting how Magneto feels like in order to get that tolerance, you have to basically commit genocide. So it's like this interesting two sides of a coin, and I think Magneto is very compelling and in a way a lot more human in that sense, because he has all of these complex emotions and desires and motivations that are all existing in this one superpowered mutant incredible being. So.
It's funny you bring up the term he's more human, because correct me if I'm wrong, and viewers correct me if I'm wrong too, but like in Lord of the Rings, technically speaking, Gandalf is not human. It's like wizard is a race.
Yes.
So there's dwarf, elves, men, wizards. It's like many others. But I believe like wizards are almost like a race unto themselves in many ways. So it's not really a human.
But the
character.
wizards and the elves are kind of like they get into the VIP section of the club together. Like they're like the VIPs have the powers and the wizards have the powers.
Is there a different, like Gandalf the Grey would be like, you get into room 1, Gandalf the White, you're up in upper echelon, like super.
You get bottle service.
But everybody wants to party with Gandalf the Grey.
Right, people want to party with him, but is Gandalf the White even less human now? Because like it, you know.
I think so. I think he attains an otherworldliness like when that happens and he becomes the White because of the experience. It's almost like he leveled up. Like he leveled up. He leveled up in wizardry.
One of my favorite scenes in the second Hobbit film was when he's trapped in that castle and they show the eye, and there's this almost like a psychotropic, trippy sequence where you see like Saruman, and it was very scary, and I was like, wow, it's such an amazing scene. You remember what I'm talking about? Like the weird flashes of the Saruman shadow.
And I have to wonder.
Sauron, sorry.
Sauron and Saruman, two different guys.
Saruman is actually, if you had to compare Magneto and Xavier, I think it would be Saruman and Gandalf, maybe. If you could compare.
Saruman's just a dick.
He's got really heavy metal kind of thing going on with that long white hair.
He really does. I expect him to raise a hand to have like some like huge spiked rings on or whatever.
Like he's going to a Gwar concert later.
He's going to a Gwar concert later. So, okay, so let's run this down here. Dennis, looking at the whole argument now, if you got to decide who's the better Ian McKellen character. Remember, folks, we're not asking which is the better movie, the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies or the X-Men movies. That's not the question. The best Ian McKellen character, after all of our discussion here, who do you vote for?
I'm going to vote for Gandalf, just because he's the character that I would want to hang out with, and he's wise, and he's older, and he's self-sacrificial, like you said before, like in the scene with the Balrog. He basically says, "You guys run, take off. I'll fight him," and he died, quote unquote. I don't know about Gandalf the White though. He's a little more uppity. He's got a
he's in the VIP section.
He gets a little annoyed at things that some of the hobbits do, but I like Gandalf the Grey.
All right, Schnepp, who do you go for?
I'm going with Magneto. I would probably hang out with Gandalf the Grey. I'd maybe follow Gandalf the White into some war and get killed quickly. Orc just kills me instantly. And I don't want to hang out with Magneto. Ian McKellen.
He may kill you.
Yeah, he would kill me quickly. I wouldn't even get to fight. I'd just be like, brush me aside into some metal door.
I'm going to drive those glasses through your brain.
Yeah, boink. Yeah, instant death. But as a character, really fun to watch. so much complexity and levels to Magneto. It's always fun to see what's he doing and what is he planning. He seems like he's doing something good. There's something behind that. He's doing one thing to get another thing to happen for his cause. So it's always a very interesting character in all the films, even the Michael Fassbender film, that character. So Ian McKellen's character, I'm really interested to see X-Men Days of Future Past, how they meld those two characters, what they're going to do going back and forth through time. Obviously, we know just from watching the trailers, something bad's happened in the future. The X-Men are all getting knocked off. They send Wolverine back in time to change it. Got all this time travel stuff going on. What's the future going to be like? It's a lot of fun. So I'm really excited to see how they play that out. So Magneto's it for me. Ian McKellen as Magneto.
Okay, we got 1-1 here, Mary. Now to you.
Am I the tiebreaker? I am a lover, not a fighter. I'm gonna have to go with Gandalf the Great. Same as you. I think he. I don't know. Like I said, I think he has a more iconic role in cinematic popular culture, and for that reason, I would choose him. But I also feel like he has a very storied past that we don't even know about. So maybe he is as complex as Magneto. And I also feel like he is just maybe the guy I want to hang out with, but also the guy I can really learn from. Magneto, I feel like he veered off the path of being my teacher. Now he's just the guy I want to avoid because I don't want him to drive any glasses in my eyes. Whereas Gandalf, I feel like it's just a wealth of knowledge and a way to make the world better just by being around him. So I say Gandalf.
To me, this is easily the toughest one that we've done so far because I love both of these characters so much. But the two things that are going to push me over to Magneto's side, one is the history, the background of the concentration camps. You know, there's this great scene in X-Men 2 as well, when in X-Men 3, there's a really good scene in X-Men 3 where he's with a bunch of rogue mutants and he's trying to recruit them, and this one girl comes up and goes, "Where's your mark? Like, where's your mutant tattoo, whatever?" And he has this great line, he goes, "Somebody's put a mark to me once," and he shows his concentration camp case. "No one will ever do it again." It's like, oh, like I got chills when he did that, right? And plus, and then there's that scene in X-Men 2 when he's the prisoner in that place, and all he did was get 3 little metal balls, and he tore down an entire government complex with them, right? So it's like it's that character depth plus the power and the coolness goes with them. I'm just ever so slightly going to vote for Magneto. So amongst us, it's a tie, 2-2, but that's irrelevant. The real question here is, what do you guys vote for? Don't forget, look in the description of this video right near the top. You'll find the link for where you click and vote. Magneto or Gandalf, who is the best Ian McKellen character? And we will announce the results on next week's episode, which I believe is going to be best Arnold Schwarzenegger character, Conan or the Terminator. So that's going to be next week. And we'll announce the winner of this versus next week, so go and vote. I want to first of all thank the panel who's joining me. Of course, to my left, Miri Jetikin. Thanks so much, Miri.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Mr. John Schnepp.
Right on.
And Mr. Dennis Zen.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm John Campea, guys, for AMC Movie News. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be back again, so until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.